and welcome. You're tuned into ET Now. I am Anisha Jain. Well, the passenger traffic at the Indian airports is expected to grow at a rate of 8 to 12%, and analysts and experts believe that an investment of 60,000 crores is expected over the next 2 to 3 years itself. But where exactly will this investment go, and how can one use technology as a lever to improve efficiency at airports? That's a discussion that we have lined up for you today in a special debate called Digital Airports of the Future. Joining me today for a conversation is Rahul Shandiya. He is the Chief Information and Digital Officer at GMR Group, Rishi Mehta, the CEO at WAISL, and Girish Nair, Partner and Aviation Sector Lead at KPMG India. Hi, gentlemen. Thanks so much for making time and speaking with us today.
Hi, Anisha.
Hi.
Sounds good.
Hi, let me start with you, Girish, and ask you the question. Because, time and again, Indian infrastructure has been kind of raised a question towards, it's called obsolete, etc. But if I had to ask you objectively, both in terms of the physical infrastructure in India as well as the digital airport infrastructure, how would you rate India versus the rest of the world?
It's a very good question, and I'm so glad that at this point of time I'm in a position to say that we are right up there. And last, I think, decade, the kind of work that we have done both in the infrastructure space and also on the digital space, I think we have one of the best infrastructure and tech advancements, which makes the airport experience truly world class. Now, case in point is what GMR Group and Hyderabad has done with the digital twin and the APOC that we saw the recent launch, or you talk about Digiyatra, right? These are world-class initiatives which not only enhances the passenger experience but also brings in huge amount of operational efficiency, and also in terms of cost optimization and the overall experience at the airport. So to answer your question, I personally feel both from the infrastructure, if you look at the Bangalore T2 or if you look at the T1 refurbishment that we have done in Delhi, I think we have a great airport infrastructure today, and we also have some really industry first and global first initiatives when it comes to tech and the digital implementations.
And that global first initiative is something that APOC is also something that GMR has done. But I'll come to that in a bit of a detail. Rahul, but first let me ask you, how are you looking at utilizing technology as a lever at GMR Group? What problems are you looking to solve through digitization?
Anisha, first of all, thank you for having me here. We at GMR are truly excited to leverage the emerging technologies for the larger good of the organization and our stakeholders, largely from the perspective of productivity at our airports, operations, and the passenger experiences. Our journey so far has been very good towards leveraging these technologies, along with ideas, brilliant ideas, let's call them, which challenge the normal. In fact, we have an innovation exchange platform, which we fondly call as InnovX, which focuses on generating ideas not only within our own employee base, but from the partners, as well as the startup ecosystem we have in our country. Our tech innovation is all about speed. Fail fast, collaborate with each other with a positive mindset, and experiment continuously. We also look at technology startups to come ideate with us, partner with us. We back them up with the contextuality of the domain knowledge and work together to succeed in many of them. We also understand that tech innovation at times may need a financial nudge to fructify into something meaningful, and therefore have incubated a fund called InnovX Fund, which focuses on supporting these brilliant ideas, partnering with the startups, and funding them initially till they come up to an age. We have been successful in many of them, and in fact, the digital twin powered APOC, which has been in talk for last few days, is one of the ideas which has fructified into something meaningful. Many are on the floor. Some of them are still going through the qualification stages, but we are truly excited to see them through coming out of an age and working for the industry. All in all, we are very happy that our mojo of entrepreneurship and catch them young attitude has helped many of these ideas come to shape in our business.
Yeah, Innovex as well as APOC and the rest of the stuff that you're doing. I'll try to deep dive into it in just a bit, but let me welcome on board Rishi also into the conversation. Rishi, the things that GMR Group is also talking about in terms of innovation, in terms of collaborating with startups, in terms of fueling the ambitions, do you think India is doing enough to modernize itself, or do you think more is needed to keep a pace with the technological transformation that we are seeing?
What's actually very compelling in India to see, which you don't see in the rest of the world, India is now creating first of the many use cases of bringing digitalization into the infrastructure play. The phygital is at display in India. Look at the airports. Who would have imagined few years ago that not only will build more airports, but we are going to do actually a complete digital transformation of airports. India is at the cusp of now basically releasing digital airports, digital factories, digital power plants, and that's where we are. And I think the kind of scale we are dealing with in the coming years, I am actually very much in tune. The rest of the world will be looking up to us to some of the use cases.
Well, looking at India for some of the use cases, that's one headline to really watch out for. But now that we have set the context of what the present is, let's also talk a bit about future. I wanted to get your take, Girish, regarding the kind of investments that you're expecting in the aviation and the aviation sector going forward, in terms of the physical investments, in terms of the digital transformation that is set apace. What's your own estimates around that?
I think you started this, show by, talking about a huge number of 60,000 crore as an investment. And we have seen there's a huge amount of investment in airport privatization, modernization, investments in upgrading the terminals, on the air side, on the land side, even on the tech piece. And I think there's going to be significant amount of investment that is coming in. And we heard our honorable minister, talking about more airports, which is in the plan, and Udan as a scheme, and the regional connectivity as one of the key agenda. I think there is going to be huge amount of investments which is planned in modernizing airports, bringing in new airports, privatizing airports, and also building infrastructure. And of course, this cannot be done in isolation, and tech is going to be a major enabler, to reach to our goal of running a very highly optimized, efficient, and passenger friendly airport and airline experience, right? And tech is going to play a very, very huge role. And we have seen some really unprecedented aircraft orders, which is from Indian carriers. So overall, I think there's a huge amount of investments planned, both in physical infrastructure, aircraft orders, tech investment, which I think most of the airport groups have demonstrated that today. And now we are talking, with Rahul and Rishi on one great initiative that they have implemented. Digiyatra, I repeat that, is maybe one of the most disruptive piece of work that our country has brought into the world of aviation and aviation ecosystem to strengthen the aviation ecosystem.
Well, yes, path-breaking indeed, and it's very a moment of pride for India, that the world is looking at India for that one. But you were talking about the fact, Rahul, that you have that Innovex research hub in place. You're looking at a lot of startups for collaboration. But help me understand, what are the problems that you're looking at solving? Because Rishi was also talking about several use cases which have come up with respect to use of digitization. But give me a few more examples and context for that.
So there are many areas of our businesses where these technologies have been making a difference. However, what keeps us going is the belief that there is a lot more possible in the areas of throughput, productivity improvement, and passenger experience. Now, airports are an ecosystem play, which have a definite bandwidth of resources, especially in the area of space and time. We all know that. And therefore, any opportunity which a technology can bring in and provide an upside to the throughput of the operations is always a value add to the bottom line. Digital technologies promises to do this. They are the levers which can help create a multiplier effect in solving these problems. For example, let's take an aircraft turnaround management. Now, everybody knows that the best you can do to an aircraft is to put that in air. That's where it's most productive utilization of the asset, and we need to set these assets. Now, this essentially covers the interest for almost all stakeholders. Let's say the airlines would love this, passengers would love this, ground handlers, airports, and probably the economy at large would take the benefit out of it. So now digital twin enables all stakeholders to use the streaming data backed by AI enabled algorithms, which finally help in informed decision making to the all stakeholders who are in the action. Now, this gives eventually a better turnaround for every activity, leading to a better turnaround for an aircraft at an airport. So that's a clear productive case which we see in making because of this kind of technologies. Another example I could take is in the area of passenger experience. Now let's look at a passenger trying to navigate through an airport. Now, if we have a real-time information flow around the passenger density inside a passenger terminal, we can use this streaming data to help a passenger with a better direction navigation. And this may also ease the congestion you may see at various gates, including at the right up from entry gate to the boarding gate. Usage of biometrics in Digiyatra has been one of the clear example where use of AI-enabled decision making or the algorithms actually created a faster movements for passenger at the entry gates. So lots of problems are still possible to be solved, and we think that opportunities are many, and so are the possibilities of finding innovative solutions, as long as we are open to leverage emerging technologies with an open mind. That's how we look at it.
Let me get in, Rishi also into the conversation, because you have managed to, help companies like GMR implement some of these technology-backed initiatives like APOC itself, which are helping them. But give me a bit more understanding as to how you've managed to leverage the technology there. What exactly does APOC do for GMR and the consumers? And what's the pace of digital transformation looking like with that?
Got it, got it. So basically, this fundamentally starts with data, to be honest with you. Many companies, including airports and GMRs, they are basically going through the journey of being data driven, making all the decisions based on the data. So now in the APOC world, what has happened is the APOC system is collecting data from various sources. When I say sources, these can be your sensors, these can be your biometric cameras, these can be Wi-Fi routers, these can be IoT devices, various touch points that a passenger or any stakeholder in the airport basically touches. You are able to collect the data. So today, basically, you are able to collect the data from 40 different sources. These are the databases, IoT sensors, FIDs, CCTV cameras, bunch of these. You collect the data, you ingest the data into a data platform, and on top of it, you run some AI algorithms to drive some insights. So now APOC is able to give some insights where basically the multiple stakeholders, whether it's a ground handler, operations team, security team, IT team at the airport, they are able to basically, one, not only react in the real time, but they are also able to predict certain outcomes. And prediction is the key capability out here in the APOC, which has been built using data and the AI.
It's interesting you're talking about the ROE or the return on experience, but Rahul, you'll appreciate that the more important ROE that we look at is return on equity or ROI, the return on investment, etc. And that's the constant debate, right? As to how does one allow these innovations to kind of come through, because obviously to begin with, they sometimes challenge the profitability. So let's go back and discuss, for instance, when you were looking at this APOC as a project to be implemented, what kind of, cost benefit analysis that you did, what were the investments involved, and how did you go about the decision-making process here?
Yeah. So the journey has been in making for almost 18 months now and has seen many important stages of decision making. Initially, we were looking for a way to keep an eye on the passenger flow across our airports, which can help us respond to any congestion situation, create a better throughput, better navigation, as we just spoke about. We face at many of the airports. And therefore, we needed a real-time, or let's say a streaming database system, which had a capability to generate some AI-enabled alerts and exceptions, which can be acted upon by the people on the ground. That's what we were initially looking at. But as we started to explore technologies and solution stacks, we realized that streaming data analytics has a profound value across many other processes in the business as well. And it is called as situational awareness-based informed decision-making. Now, that's an interesting space. The ability to see a unified or holistic picture of your business, and that too in real time, can excite any functional user. And when we went into details, we realized that we can actually go and scale it up to include about 100 plus various processes at an airport ecosystem, which can actually help generate some AI-based alerts, exception, and a control into our processes and the operations. And that got into a very interesting space. We realized that just viewing the streaming data is not enough for value creation as well. So we needed to get into decision-making space, build more predictive capabilities on the situations, also add up more prescriptive recommendations, which can help people to take actions and decisions. And many of them could be actually artificial intelligence-based algorithms. And when we started to work on it, we were quite amazed, and the kind of benefits we can get to in terms of assisting and improving the operations, and also sweating the assets across all stakeholders for the benefit of them. So therefore, we realized that if we could create a visual replica of these processes and put into a 3D zone, we might be able to better integrate a very large number of diversified users into the decision making. So all in all, the grand size of what it can grow into is something which went on from stage to stage. And we went on backing ourselves because we found that the advantage of all this put together will definitely be coming into the area of improving our productivity. And as I spoke about earlier, anything which can help productivity improvement at an airport which has a bandwidth, a limited bandwidth in the space and time would be very high returns. So that's how this digital twin concept got into the making, and the epoch got into the structure. So overall, if you ask me today, we are seeking streaming data coming out of 40 sources, systems, and different tech sources, creating a visual replica which provide us an informed decision view. And it also helps us creating various scenario-based modeling, and which eventually leads to the predictions and the decision making to the stakeholders. Now, sum it up, we took many decisions en route, kept improvising and took quick decisions, rejected a few options as well as we progressed, but kept moving at a fast pace. That's very essential in this space. Eventually leading to where we are today, it's a very satisfying journey in the end. Now, we are hopeful that as we put across to usage at a large scale and share this capability with the stakeholders, all of us are going to come around and create a far more productivity and the improvement and sweating of the assets among all of us, all stakeholders of an airport ecosystem. Now, we will see numbers, we'll see benefits coming up. As you correctly said, yes, return on the equity is very important. But I think in the coming few quarters, we will be able to come back to this, and we'll be far closer to how you can actually put a quantitative explanation to this. But right now, I tell you, it's a very promising zone, and we are quite excited to sweat this out and see where we are heading.
Of course, you're looking at sweating it out further, and perhaps the quantitative details will come out in a bit, while the qualitative we know is expected to be quite strong. But Girish, you come in because, of course, Rahul as well as Rishi have a bit of a skin in the game. But if I had to ask you objectively, because you have looked at the transformations across the world, if I had to ask you to rate GMR APOC as a project, how would you rate that?
See, let me begin. I like to say this. With my more than 20 plus years of experience in the industry and working with airlines and airports, both aviation is large and airports and airlines. It's a very complex, heterogeneous ecosystem. Managing multiple moments of truth, and most of these experiences and moments of truth are not directly in control of either airport or airlines. There are multiple stakeholders, like Rahul and Rishi explained. So, and it's people's business, right? And so if you need to get this right, and if you need to get efficiency, and if you need to get this scaled up, right, tech needs to be playing a very, very big role as an enabler. So coming back to this facility that we have seen in Hyderabad, I think it's built to sweat the asset, to maximize the usage, bring in operational efficiency. And also the most important thing is, how do you predict and how do you actually, give some predictive analytics to various stakeholders? And this whole piece about airport collaborative decision making, it enables you to actually bring that with the right set of tools and right set of platform to make this happen. So to answer your question, I think what we have done now, what we have achieved is maybe a first in our country.
Yeah, evolution is something that we all are waiting by for. So let me ask, Rahul, that question then. What about the scalability of this in other places? You've done that in Hyderabad, but are you looking at implementing that in other geographies as well?
Oh, absolutely. So what we have done at Hyderabad is the first full-scale realization of digital twin-powered APOC solution. We are also in the process of rolling this up at Delhi International Airport and is already in advanced stages of implementation. You should see this announcement of full rollout at Delhi International Airport somewhere in 2025 as well. In future, we are also exploring if this can be organized as APOC as a service to our GMR airports, which means essentially that we may standardize it as GMR airport operating platform across all airports. So we are very excited to see this scale up to expand to all our assets and see a collective benefit coming out of as an organization. So we look forward to very positively to this.
We look forward to those announcements coming as far as Delhi implementation is concerned. But Rishi, we're talking about making things a lot more digital, right? And while it's great in terms of efficiency and experience, that raises the risk of potential security breaches, right? Because that's, of course, something that one needs to mitigate. What's your view on that? How can we mitigate the security and the risk aspect of this?
Fair enough. In fact, in all these architectures and basically the rollout of these products and services, we are going with the mantra of security first, which means right from the design thinking and conceptualization stage, we do think about the security. We have to think about security of the data, security of the systems and the software processes on the premises, security of the data and the processes running in the cloud. So all that is taken into the design stage itself instead of security being a later on add-on bolt, which is the mistake the industry used to make many years ago. Security used to be an afterthought, and hence it used to create a lot of problems and skepticism. But now, if you notice, this is a security first mantra, and many things that we have rolled out, whether it's a Digiyatra, you rarely hear a security issue. That is also built both on-prem as well as in the cloud with the data of many million passengers for the Digiyatra, how it's protected. At least 20% of the customers going through the airport today use Digiyatra, and you never hear a security breach. Same thing in the APOC, digital twin enabled APOC. Security has been thought through from day one. There are certain components running on premises in the data center, other running in the cloud, and there's a complete protection of the data, no matter where the systems are running. I think that's the kind of philosophy we need to keep in mind. Otherwise, any technologies and innovations we bring in, they will be a basically massive liability in case we don't think about the security from day one. And that has been a mind shift, to be honest, in a lot of large enterprises in the last few years.
But Rahul, just let me end the conversation by asking you as to what next can we expect from GMR. You talked about Innovex and the kind of startup ecosystem you're supporting. What else is in the pipeline? Anything interesting that we should watch out for?
So yes, thanks for asking this. Our innovation and digital labs are full of experiments we are doing across many areas, but some focus area remains the passenger experiences. We're also looking at using artificial intelligence and autonomous based applications products on the floor operations. So that's something which we're working on. We are very carefully working on the cybersecurity and safety space as well. So lots in the works. Many things will come out over a period of time. We will keep sharing as we progress on this journey. We also believe that airports are the gateway to their cities. And this symbiotic relationship between the two has many areas where innovation can bring value creation for all. So stay tuned with us for that. Thank you for asking this.
Well, yes, and I will come back to you with those questions as and when those get implemented and ask you the status of all of that. But, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us for this insightful conversation. Definitely looking forward to improving the experience as a passenger at some of these airports and aircrafts. And I think there's just better things lined up for us ahead. So, watching out for all of that. But thanks so much for making time for us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Okay, with that, it's a wrap on this conversation. But stay tuned to ET Now for more.